Welcome to the Balanced Ambition podcast. I'm your host, Matt Southam. Here, we delve into candid conversations with entrepreneurs, exploring both their business journey and their secrets to maintaining mental well-being. As we navigate the balance of ambition and inner peace, I hope you find insights, inspiration, and invaluable takeaways in every episode. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the show, Paul. In a minute, I'm going to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself. Obviously, I've known you work in a number of different industries or a number of businesses, and you're now, an absolute expert in customer service. And I'd like you to explain why you feel customer service is so important to businesses, and then perhaps how you've got to that stage where you're now working with, quite a wide variety of businesses across Sussex, helping them improve their customer service and the sort of results they're seeing from that. So over to you for an intro.
Magic. Thanks, Matt. Well, first of all, just thanks for having me on. It's been knowing you for a few years, and nice to actually be able to do something professionally together. So this is great. Thank you. So why is customer experience important? Well, I just really grind it down to, what's the most important thing in your business? And for most of us, it will be customers, clients, whatever we like to call them. So surely it makes sense that we should try and give them the best possible experience. And I know that's a really, really straightforward kind of way of looking at it. But actually, when you take away all the fluff of all the things that go on in business, it is as simple as that. It's about, right, do I think my customers are important to me? Yes. Do I want them to come back and buy from me again? Yes, in most cases. We've all had those ones that we might in most cases, for most businesses, they want them to come back. And thirdly, do I want those people to recommend me to, or my products or services to other people? And again, 9 times out of 10, the answer is yes. Well, those things just don't happen if we don't give good experiences to people. And I fundamentally believe there's 3 things that you have to do. You have to meet the needs of your customer, first and foremost. That's the basic kind of foundation of what you do. The next thing you should be trying to do is make it easy. So if you can make it easy for your customers to work with you, to buy from you, to engage with you, then that's great. And the third thing, the tip of the pyramid, if you like, is make it enjoyable or memorable, whichever way you want to think of it. Mm-hmm. And if you can meet the need, make it easy and make it memorable, you then get into a situation where those 3 things I talked about earlier happen. And the way that I tend to work with businesses is to help them to understand what their customer journey, customer experience really looks like through the eyes of their prospects and customers. And that way they can make it better. And of course, I'll have some ideas about how they can do that. And we work together to make bespoke customer journeys that are relevant for that particular business. So that's kind of what we do. I think the second part of your question was how I came to be here, I suppose, isn't it?
So tell me a little bit. I mean, just I'm going to jump in slightly interruption, but obviously my background in marketing, actually customer service and customer expectations and their experience is probably a real hidden channel that people don't understand. So many people think of marketing as lead generation. How do I get this brand new customer? But actually, if someone has a great time and starts telling their friends, then that is the best marketing you can get.
Absolutely. And I think there's another part as well where that's absolutely true. And I think you can then get, we help a lot of businesses to use feedback channels to get testimonials, which you can then use to obviously market yourself and maybe lead to reviews or whatever as well, which gives prospects confidence in you. I think the other thing that's really important when it comes to marketing is the ability for a marketeer to market on brand for the client they're working for. So you as an agency, you wouldn't want to be marketing a second-hand car salesman as non-pushy sales environment if the actual experience was when you turned up, a salesman jumps on you straight away. Because the marketing that you're doing doesn't lead to the expectation.
No.
So I think there's a real clear link between what the expectations of a customer are when they come to a business, whether that be on their website or on their physical store or whatever it might be, and the marketing messages that are being sent out. If it isn't a branded customer experience, and what I mean by that, personalized experience for that business, it doesn't work because the marketing sets an expectation here and the reality is here or over here or wherever. So I think it's a really important link to make as well when it comes to marketing and CX.
Yeah, that you don't want to set people up for a disappointment by building up this incredible picture. And within marketing, we make everything look pretty and amazing and it's superb and everyone's having a great time. And if you don't deliver that, actually you were better off bringing down clients' expectations to start with.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's really, really important that there's an understanding of what's going to happen and how do we actually make that happen so we can meet the expectations or hopefully surpass them.
Yeah. So yeah, tell me how you got into this sort of space.
Yeah, so my career started back in the leisure industry. So back when I was kind of 17, 18, I didn't go to university. I wasn't academic at all. I didn't do particularly well at school. And I was a product of the work experience program. So I got a work experience in my local leisure centre for a couple of weeks, cleaning and doing bits that probably no one else wanted to do. As yeah, I'm sure it's changed a lot since then. But and then at the end of that, they said, "Oh, we quite like you. Do you want to do a shift every week?" So I said, "I've got nothing else to do." I had no aspirations of being in the leisure industry at all, really, but I did it. And over the period of the next kind of 7 years, I went from work experience lad to managing 3 leisure centres in my local town in Hastings. And so being overall responsible for that, a big, pretty decent job with probably in the region of 150 people in the team. And that was just through kind of working my way up. Then I left there and went and worked and opened the new Bannatynes Health Club in Hastings. And I had the privilege of doing all the pre-sale and recruiting the whole team and literally a blank canvas. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
Did that for 5 years. And then I did another 5 years for another operator. So all of my career was with customers. The leisure industry is very much about repeat business, very much about giving consistent experiences to people. And I used mystery shoppers, I used customer feedback tools to get feedback throughout my whole management career in leisure. And then the company that I was using about 10 years ago had an opportunity within it. And that at that time was called Shopper Anonymous, which later rebranded to be Insight 6. But I had an opportunity to buy into the organization and that's what I did. So coming up for 9 years ago, I'd always wanted to have my own business. My dad had his own business. And that was really a big influence on me growing up. And so I thought, well, what's the worst that can happen? Looking back, I had a mortgage, wife, 2 small children, kind of 5 and 7, I think at that time, something like that. And which I've still got, by the way. They're just bigger now.
They're just growing up. Yeah.
Looking back at it now, it was brave, but at the time I just thought, well, let's just go for it. If it goes wrong, I'll go back and get a job in the leisure industry again. And so I started my own company and I trade under the Insight 6 brand. But I have my own limited company, which my wife Louise and I are sole directors of. And as you said, we work with about 60-ish businesses across Sussex. We've got a team of about 120 people. So it's a fairly decent sized business we've got to now in 9 years.
Yeah, and 9 years is good time. I'm a very similar sort of thing, just going up to 10 years, running a marketing agency. But I always look back at those first couple of years because actually the majority of businesses fail. Not so much loads fail within 5 years, but actually that sort of 1 to 2 years, and it's often cash flow or whatever.
Yeah.
Did you have some challenges at the start? Did you find buying into something had a bit of a safety blanket there, or was there still those challenges?
I think it's fair to say that buying into the business, it did give me a little bit of a safety blanket, but there was no guarantees here whatsoever. We didn't have money. I had to borrow money to be able to do it. So I had, debt to pay back. There wasn't, I hadn't been made redundant or had an inheritance. This was real life. If this doesn't work, I'm going to have a big debt and I'm going to be in a bit of bother. So, for the first 18 months, I'd say, Louise would say longer, but I'd say 18 months, I was flat, I was working all the time, literally every day. It didn't matter. There wasn't really any weekends. It was literally 7 days a week, full throttle, because I knew that I wanted to make this a success. I'd seen my dad have a successful business, which then unfortunately went wrong. And I didn't want that for me and my family. So that was a real driving ambition for me to make sure that I was going to do absolutely everything within my power to make sure that this worked, that we did it well, and that I knew that that would drive repeat business if I did good work for people. And you'll see this, Matt, in your business, you get somebody new, a new client or a new contact, you do some good stuff for them, they like you, you're personable, you do good work. Guess what? They want you to do something else or another thing, or they tell somebody else about you. But yeah, some real challenges in terms of, when we're talking about balance, real challenges in that first kind of 18 months about balancing life and business. Because
you commented then that, you said 18 months, Louise would probably say a bit longer. So, I mean, that obviously caused some pressure on a personal level.
Of course. And I can remember the kids having half terms or whatever and going off and doing things. And for the first time ever, I wouldn't be going and doing them because I'd in the leisure, and so I'd try and get some time off, at least a couple of days in half term when they were off.
Yep.
And I wouldn't be doing that. And that was difficult, really difficult. And looking back, I haven't really talked about this before, but looking back, mentally, that was not a good place for me to be, because nothing mattered other than work. And it probably took me, I'd say it took me the first, probably after 2 years, I could relax and knew that things were going well. But the absolute truth of it is, Matt, until probably the pandemic came along, that changed me. I found much better balance and ability to go, it's going to be okay. If we can get through this and whatever, everything's going to be fine, kind of thing. Yeah. And that really changed me, having that time at home. I chilled down a lot. I'm a lot less on it now. I'm a lot less, a lot more relaxed. So yeah, that's that journey that I've been on, from full throttle to. I mean, I'm not. Oh, I don't care. Obviously,
No.
But being able to actually go, well, I know what we're doing is good. I know how we're helping people. And I'm probably a lot less trying to convince people now. If they get it, if they want to do it, if they truly want to put the customer at the center of their business, lovely. I'd love to work with them. If I'm going to drag you kicking and screaming to do those things, perhaps you're not right for us, and I'll move on.
Yeah, it's a common story. I mean, I've had it, and actually, I class that pandemic time as a bit of a change for me as well, because for the first time in years, I actually remember seeing the kids wake up and being there when we were eating dinner. And prior to that, I was getting to the office ridiculously early. I'm talking 6:30. Certainly I might be in the gym for 6 and at the office sort of 7:30, and then I'd be getting back about 6:30. In which case the kids about to have a shower. They were quite, or a bath. They were quite young, and then off to bed. And I got through it because I just felt that to grow the business, I had to work more hours. Yeah. But actually, I've realised that hasn't done it. And actually, in the last couple of years, and certainly even the last 6 months, I've said no to a little bit more. Things that aren't the perfect job, or I'm just trying to persuade the customer, and I'm having to adapt my package because that's what they want. And actually, no, because that's not going to work. Look, this is the work we do. We know it works. It's really good. If you don't want it, that's fine. I can't dilute it, because if I dilute it down, I don't deliver the service I know that I want to. You won't actually get the results that you probably want, even though you're not necessarily invested in it. No one's happy. No one's won.
Yeah. It becomes a no-win situation because of the compromise, and then you get to a point where I certainly am a lot better these days to say to people, actually, no, that won't work. You won't get what you want from it if you do it like that. And I think that's part of the growth that we all go through as individuals, as human beings. And I think confidence in this expert status, I think it's taken me a long time to be comfortable with being a customer experience professional or a customer experience expert, because it's really easy to feel like you're not worthy of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That sort of imposter syndrome. And actually, I mean, we were talking earlier, we both go to a fair bit of networking, meet other people, and actually that can be a double-edged sword at a time, because yes, it's really good, and networking, you're meeting people, but sometimes either you feel a little bit of a fraud, or you do because they're like, cool, you're smashing it, you're doing really well, I'm loving what you're doing. And sometimes that makes you go, oh, well, am I really? And we sort of forget maybe how well the business is doing, or just putting things into perspective, I guess, is the idea.
Absolutely. I think that's absolutely key. I think, with the imposter syndrome, or the worry, or the, oh my goodness, it's all going to fall down tomorrow, or whatever it is that we're worried about, concerned about, I think perspective is absolutely critical. And I talk a lot about perceptions when I'm working with clients, about the perceptions that customers have of their business. But I think in this, what we're talking about here, perspective, being able to take a couple of steps away from your life, look at it from a different angle and think, actually, I've got a wife who loves me. I've got 2 great children. I've got a roof over my head. I've got a great family. My parents are in good health still. There's so many things that we just take for granted, maybe, or don't see in our everyday viewpoint, that we just need to sometimes just take a step, or just stop and pause and be grateful and realize that it's not all about chasing the next client, or the financial milestone that we think is what will make us happy or content or fulfilled or whatever, and just making sure you've got that balance in your life of more than just a goal.
I certainly think I was certainly, the business and myself, it was like one entity, and unless I was driving that business forward and we were growing and we were getting more staff and more it was almost like I obviously wasn't succeeding, and it didn't matter what level I got to, I had to have the next bit. And there's nothing wrong with ambition. We're ambitious people. We want to grow our business, but at times you need to just take a little bit of a stock of what's really important, and take a step back.
I think, like in my business, I have obviously KPIs, I have strategy, I have things that I'm trying to achieve, and they're important, but they're realistic. And when I'm working on them 100% to make my business what I want it to be. But I think it's just important that we don't lose sight of all of the other things as well. These aren't mutually exclusive. You don't have to be a fantastically successful businessman or have great things in your working life at the expense of things that happen in your private, personal life, or things that it's not even about private and business. It's about holistically what makes you the person that you are. And I think, I know we're getting a bit deep there, but I think that all the things that are in your life make you who you are. The influences that you've had. I'm a big believer. The influence that you've had of your parents growing up in the first kind of 5 to 10 years of your life. Your marriage, your children, the way you are, your circle of friends, the way that you are as a human, and I think a lot of that stuff is what helps us in our business life, because at the end of the day, it's about people.
Completely.
You get on with people. People make decisions. People make purchasing decisions. People recommend you. People have views on you. So it's all about engaging with people and building relationships.
Even business to business, people call it, but actually it's still person to person. Certainly in the SME sector, you can't sell to my business without actually selling to me. You've got to have that connection. And actually, we spoke about that pandemic, and I think the way everyone has become slightly more human. And what I mean by that is, I see now some professional services who, when I would go and meet with them, would always be in the smartest suit I've ever seen, and I felt like I had to, polish my shoes and get out. And I'm not saying I'd turn up, messy, but actually, if I'm wearing an open collared shirt, that's fine. I can still be professional, and meet online and still be professional. And I loved it that I met with people who it was a very professional relationship, and then suddenly I was having a Zoom call with them, and the kid would walk in, their kid or mine, or something would happen, or the dog would come, and you'd be like, we're all just living our life, and this is a part of it. Work's a big part of it, but actually work just enables you to live the rest of your life. I had a conversation with someone last week, and we were both saying, I do love our jobs, but if we won the lottery, would we still work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday?
it's a really,
Probably not.
really, really interesting one, that, isn't it? Because that's kind of what is it they say? If you find if it doesn't feel like work, if you find something you do and it doesn't feel like work, then that's the great thing.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely lucky in that 90% of the businesses I work with, I love working with them and I love what I do. And so if I won the lottery, I mean, it depends how much, but if I won like engine sums of money, would I be able to sit around and do nothing? Maybe for 3 months, I'd be able to go off and travel the world and do that. But actually, I'd still, I'd want to work and I'd want to do something I love. So yeah, it's a really
I just know I would still do something because I feel like I have to have a purpose. And I say this to my missus and the kids, and I don't say it directly to the kids, but while they're a massive part of my life, they're not just my life. I have to have something for myself. And when I'm happy giving time, I'm happy being dad. Like I do love it, but I have to have something for myself. And yes, this is great going out with friends and things like that. But again, just I'd need a purpose, and actually work probably keeps me a little bit grounded on. I'm doing something. Yeah, we're working with other businesses. You're working with helping other people succeed, and actually that's a really big part for me. I'm really passionate about seeing other people doing well. I did a post today, if you saw a little while ago, about competition and collaboration, and because I was networking with some other marketing agencies and web agencies, and I sort of realized I don't like the word competition because that sort of says win or lose. And I'm not saying I wouldn't go up against them and see if I could beat them in a proposal, in a meeting, do a better pitch, of course. Yeah, but I don't want them to fail. That's not the reason I'm trying to win. So we can all work together, and there's enough there. And I really enjoyed networking with them.
Yeah, no, agree wholeheartedly. I mean, I've worked in businesses where it's been cutthroat, and it's been actually we want to put this other business out of business, and that is not me. So when I said earlier about what it is for you, it's got to be the right fit, and that isn't me. You used a line there which is very similar to one that I use with my clients, which is and it's a bit cheesy, but my business ultimately is about helping other people's businesses to be more successful. Yeah, that is what I do. I work with Mr. Business Owner or Mrs. Business Owner to help them to drive more customers, to give better experiences, to get quality feedback, to motivate their teams, to help them refer and recommend them again and get repeat business. And that ultimately is what helps them to then be more successful. And of course, we partner with marketing agencies, we partner with other people who play their part in that really important customer journey, so that it attracts customers, in your case, attracting customers in the first place, so that they can then experience how good the business is. So it's about partnerships. It's not about, I'm going to do a better job and I'm going to make sure that I do that so that this person suffers down the road. No, we've all got things that we can work with together. We can all learn from each other and work collaboratively to provide the best possible services to businesses that need them.
Yeah, completely. I think, and by other people succeeding, we succeed because our business grows. And I think the more businesses that can grow on a wider, without going completely off topic, on a wider sort of, societal sort of system, we need businesses doing well. We need people to still be in business, to employ, to pay taxes, to do all of this. And actually, I feel, lucky the whole weight isn't on my shoulders, but I want other businesses to do well so we don't slip into that, they've gone out of business, they've lost their job. That's a sad time. There's an opportunity for everyone to do well. And a lot of the time it's just positioning it. Most people who start a business, they are good at what they do. What they maybe don't, on a technical level, what they don't understand is how to run a business or how their customers perceive what they do. And by working with people like ourselves,
as well as I do, the high street over the last 15, 20 years has changed hugely. I live, we live nearby each other in Battle, and the high street has changed massively. The number of empty shops, or the number of coffee shops, and there's been a big swing. In our world, we work with those not exclusively with the smaller businesses, but a large portion are smaller independent businesses who need that support to help them to be able to compete with the big boys who might come into the high street and
Yeah.
um, and if we're not careful, it just there isn't any independent little business because they can't afford, because they're not successful. They can't afford to pay the silly business rates, and they can't afford to do these things because they're not getting enough customers. So, that for me is fundamentally important, is supporting independent businesses to help them to be successful, so that there's competition, so there's choice for the consumer out there.
Yeah, definitely. I saw saying it was something along the lines of, we used to go to the high street to shop and then go home for a coffee. And now it's just reversed, isn't it? We shop from home and then go to the high street for a coffee.
Yeah.
And it has changed the way with just the way we live our lives. And, there's arguments for and against that. But you commented then on success for businesses. And I've had this conversation with lots of people, and actually it was prompted again at the weekend. I might tell that story in a minute. But what is success? And I think we've all got different measures of that. And the pandemic maybe was a time when things started to change. I think social media plays an influence in what we see as success for other people. But what do you see as what success mean to you?
Yeah, I think that's really important. I think success is multifaceted. I don't think there is. I don't think there's one thing that makes you successful. I think a lot of people will look at success and look at somebody and go, she's got a good business, or she's got a nice house, or she's got a flash car, or he's got goes on all these holidays, or whatever. Again, what lens are they looking at that person through? They're looking through their lens of their social media feed, which we know is just, it's just the good stuff. Let's face it.
Yep, of course it is.
Many people put on social media that they, had a rubbish day, or they've gone for a rubbish holiday or something. That they don't post that stuff.
No.
I think, as much as what you think success is to yourself, it's about, well, what view have people got of you? For me, though, I could kind of go back to what I said earlier. I think success is kind of achieving what you are trying to achieve. So if I'm trying, my level might be where I'm at now, and in which case I'm content. I go back to the things that I think are important: my health, my family's health, my ability to put a roof over their head, whether that is a 8-bedroom mansion or a 2 up, 2 down, or a flat, whatever. It doesn't matter as long as I'm content. As long as So for me, success is about, what am I trying to get to, and am I there or not? And that is my success. So, and that will be multifaceted. So we're talking about kind of success. I've got my business life, of course, which my business is successful. That's great. I've got my family life. I've got a happy marriage. So that, I would say, that's successful. But then, as I think, I do a bit of running and I do a bit of triathlon and stuff. So I've got that aspect of my life as well, which I wouldn't say I'm particularly good at, but I really enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? I know I'm not going to go and, win anything. I'm not going to, represent Great Britain or anything like that. But I just really enjoy the buzz it gives me. I really enjoy the positive way that I feel after I've exercised, after I've gone out on a long run, or after I've competed in a triathlon. And I think, so that is for me a success mentally. So my mental well-being, I find success, it's a funny way to describe it, success, but it is, if I've got positive mental health, that is a success.
Definitely. Success to me is waking up and being happy. And, that...
You said in 3 or 4 words. I took a bit longer, but yes.
No, I just dumb things down. That's literally my job.
Well, if I just gave you 4 words as an answer, that wouldn't be great. But you're right. And actually, you touched on the mental state. And I think that's such a big part that, I said about going networking, everyone going, you're doing really well. But actually, if part of that balance, that wheel of life, which has loads of things from friends to family to money to career to whatever it is, we can be doing well in one, but if others are out of sync, actually it's still a bumpy ride because it's not a wheel. Yeah.
And some of them are interlinked. Sometimes if business is hard and you haven't got enough money, then you're not going out and socializing with friends, or so there's lots that are linked. But actually, just almost accepting where you are and trying to keep that balance. There's no point putting your energies fully into one of them and neglecting the other.
Absolutely. And that's where probably I was when I started the business, so I was just putting all of my focus. I had the blinkers on, literally I was just work, work, work. And as I kind of alluded to it earlier in the conversation, that wasn't good for me from a mental perspective. And now, even when I don't feel like it, which isn't very often, I'll be honest, I still go out and have my runs, or I still go out on my bike, or I go for a swim, because I know how important that is to my ability to have a balanced life, and to have good mental health, because that is what works for me. Now, I'm not saying that is going to work for everybody, but for me, going out and doing a long run, or and it's not just about the run; it's the social interactions that happen with the running club that I go to as well, which is an important part of it. But even when I go out, most Sundays I run on my own, and just having those positive endorphins flowing around your body afterwards, and just, well, Matt, you organised the Battle 10K, don't you?
Yeah.
All these people come. All right, they look absolutely, finished when they cross the finish line, but it isn't long after when the smile comes on their face, and you can tell how pleased they are that they've made the effort and they've gone out and done it.
Yeah, putting our bodies under some sort of stress or pressure and proving to ourselves we can do it. I've in the last 6 months, really got into going in my ice bath in the morning, and even this morning I was like, what am I doing? It felt pretty cold, but I know that I have a much better day when I've done something like that. It's set myself up, and it's taking care of yourself, listening to your body, and understanding that. I try and stay physically in a okay condition. I'm in my 40s now. The days of competing, certainly against anyone in their 20s, long gone. But actually, I'm just doing it for myself, because I know that going to the gym makes me feel good, and actually I can perform better at work. I always thought to do well at work, I just needed to work more. I just needed to work harder. But actually, taking the time out means that I'm focused, and I try and give, and I'm still not there, but I do try and give 100% at whatever it is I'm doing at that time. Whether that's, if I'm with the kids, I try and be with the kids. If I'm working, then I'm working. If I'm off, and it is hard. We're all distracted by multiple things, and even I'm working at a computer, and before you know it, a message pops up, and then you go onto Facebook to send someone a message, and then 20 minutes later you're like, sorry, what was I doing? I've got to write that report. So but trying to have that focus is really important. But where was I going with that? But back to the sort of putting your body under some sort of pressure. I call it sort of mental resilience. That actually, we train fitness wise, and I've now realized actually when I go to the gym now, it's not really about what I look like or feel like now. I'm buying myself time in 20, 30 years time that I can hopefully play with grandkids or still be active and things like that. And I'm conscious that that's what I'm doing. Why we do things change over years, and that's where that's gone. But also just to get me in a position where I've got the headspace to be able to perform really well.
Yes.
For my clients, for my team, I've got responsibility there, and I want to give it my all. And to do that, I need the headspace.
Absolutely. I think, you just touched on something there about, say mental resilience. And again, I draw parallels between training, exercising, or, for me, the punishment of doing a triathlon or something, which, you need that mental toughness to do that. And that mental toughness, which you might not have when you start out, but you build it up. You realize, I can go a bit further, I can go a bit faster, or I can achieve this, and I didn't think I could. Okay, that's in a sporting context, but actually, your brain's a really clever thing. And anyway, it takes you into a challenging situation that you don't think you can do in another aspect of your life. Then you find the strength, the mental resilience. You call on the things that you've experienced before, which maybe are in a different, as I say, in a different sphere. But you call on that experience to help you be more resilient at work. So
Yes. Yeah.
I think there's our lives are not silos. There are you bring things from different aspects of your life, and you use the things that have worked well for you in your personal life into work, and vice versa. I believe.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think it's just helps us deal with the other things that go on in life, because I think that my message to anyone sort of starting a business is often like, it's fantastic, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There's going to be some real tough times, and it's going to be stressful, and it's going to be challenging. And it's the same in personal life. We all go through challenges.
Yeah.
Life can be tough. So
Yeah.
you're not going to get rid of all the stress. But what
Yeah.
you can do is you prep your body to be able to deal with it better, and have things in place to be able to, there's that stress bucket sort of analogy of, you need to open the taps at times to let it out before it builds up and just explodes. And going out for a run can be one of those taps. Watching a film or meeting with friends, going for a walk, having a conversation with someone. You need to let some of that stress out, but there will be stress.
Yeah.
You've just got to how you deal with it.
It for me as well. If you say I'm in my office here today, and if you're not careful, you become just, about the work. Whereas if you go out and have a walk, the problems, the things that you were kind of were holding you down, something about changing the environment, something about getting away from the laptop or away from the computer, and just having a walk, ideally in nature, in a wood or in a nice open space if you can, and just giving yourself time to think in a different way about the problem or the challenge or whatever. Somehow it helps. Somehow it's, you see things in a different perspective, I think is what I'm saying. And I find that works for me. I also find like breaking things down into chunks and kind of not trying to overcome the whole problem or the whole challenge all in one go, and going, I'm gonna spend X amount of time on this challenge or this problem, and wherever I get to, I'm gonna stop. And then in 2 days' time, I'm gonna spend a bit more time on that challenge or problem. Because what happens is during that session 1 and session 2, your brain, without you realizing it, is thinking of things, and you're coming up with ideas, solutions, or looking at things from a different perspective that you then put in, I didn't think about how I could do that, rather than try and do it all in one sitting. Number one, it often is too big and too complex. And number two, you don't do it as well. So I think it's just having some time out to kind of, what's the word? Compute or download, however you want to say it, and really understand it.
Yeah, completely agree. When things are stressful, when things are busy at work, that's actually the time to take a little break. Because our brains are incredibly clever. Going back to your earlier step, I'm a big believer. If I went out and bought a red car now, I guarantee tomorrow I will see red cars everywhere, because I'm just aware of them. And actually, by breaking down a problem, just noting it down and going and sleeping on it, your brain's worked it out.
Yes.
Without you even thinking about it. And there's an old Zen saying, I think you should meditate for 10 minutes a day unless you're really busy, and then you should take an hour. Sometimes when I first heard that, I was like, I do not have an hour. But I get the premise that actually sometimes when I've got so much on, I walk up to the shop and just literally buy something that, a pint of milk, whatever it is, and walk back. And when I get back, I sort of suss it all out a little bit more. I'm feeling a bit calm. Okay, I just need to do that, and that's in order. And actually that I can give to someone else to do, or that's getting put off to tomorrow, or whatever it is, where sometimes you're like, I don't know how I'm going to deal with today.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Paul, I thank you for telling me your story as sort of how you got here, and chatting about the pandemic and things like that. If you were to give any advice to anyone starting a business, whether it's business wise, whether it's customer experience, whatever it is, what advice would you give to someone starting a business?
Surround yourself with good people, make alliances. So actually build relationships with people. I hadn't, before I started this business 9 years ago, I had never been networking. I didn't have to. In the leisure industry, your customers came to you and you didn't network with other leisure professionals. It just didn't happen. That was really big deal for me. Going into a room, I think it was Hastings Chamber of Commerce might have been the first one. And I was nervous. I was like, I don't know anybody here. I've never done this before. But actually, most people in business have remember what it was like when they started.
Yeah.
Most people have got empathy and can be a supportive and like we were saying earlier, want other people to be successful. So go and meet people, go and build relationships. It might not lead to business. They might not even be people that you should be selling your product to. That's not the point. The point is they'll have nuggets of advice. They'll have stories about what they've done and what they've been through. So if you can tap into the mistakes that people have made, the successes that people have done, you can learn from that and you can apply that in your business as well.
Yeah, that's a fantastic takeaway. Paul, thank you for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, Matt. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Balanced Ambition podcast. I genuinely hope the stories inspire you as much as they inspire me. If you found value in today's conversation, please share it with a friend. And remember, by subscribing, you won't miss an episode, and it would truly mean the world to me. Stay balanced, and I'll see you next time.